Goodbye everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to have some kirtan for a while, half an hour now. And wished I could hear you. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Swarupananda Paramahamsa
Paramahansa Parivrajagasatara Sarashishimad Jagatguru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagasatara Sarashishimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhattacharya Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Nitai Gau's World Mission Ki Jai. Navadvip Dhamma Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopina Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Ki Jai. Mathuradam Ki Jai. Mayapur Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna. Hari Bol. Namaste. Thank you for coming. So before speaking on Bhagavad Gita, first I'd like to offer the Mangala Charana prayers from the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the different Sanskrit mantras and prayers that glorify our spiritual master, Srila Rupa Goswami, the the 6 Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, Shri Radha and Kṛṣṇa. Amagina timirandasya gina gina salakaya chaksurun militanyena tajmai Shri Guruve namaha Shri Chaitanya manobhistam statpitam yena bhutale swayam rupa karamayam tadati swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Kṛṣṇa Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavenbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrindam Hare Kṛṣṇa Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Siddha-swarupananda Paramahansa Niti Namine Namo Siddha-swarupananda Paramahansa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate. So before speaking, first I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, Gaura Karuna Swarupaya, and is very dear to Radha and Kṛṣṇa, Radha Kṛṣṇa Prastayate. And I offer my respects unto all the devotees who are able to fulfill desires like the wish-fulfilling desire trees, and who have compassion on all the fallen souls. Namaste. Please accept my respects. So we've been last class we or the last few classes we've been studying Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 7, and last week we also completed text 8. So tonight we'll be studying text 9 and text 10. So these verses are like a transition from the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna has just been kind of like freaking out and just speaking and explaining how he's feeling and why he doesn't want to, how he's feeling so despondent and how he doesn't want to engage in this fight, this war. And he finally came to a point where he just realized, as Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami puts it, that he was perplexed. He was so perplexed about the situation. He didn't know what to do. So he turned to Kṛṣṇa, and who's his friend and his brother-in-law, his cousin, and he's come to the point where he's now accepting Kṛṣṇa as his spiritual master, his spiritual teacher. So this is like a big transition in Arjuna's consciousness and in the relationship between Arjuna and Kṛṣṇa. So in text 7, Arjuna said, "Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain, Nishitam," means that confidently, with confidence, tell me for certain what is best for me, Shreyas, what is auspicious, the absolute best. Now I am your disciple, and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Sishyaste aham sharimam tvam prapanam. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth, with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. So Arjuna has, text 8 is like a continuation in a sense of text 7, where Arjuna is continuing to express how he feels, even though he's expressing Kṛṣṇa, I accept you as my spiritual master. But I'm still, I can find no means to drive away my grief. Even if I was to win a prosperous kingdom, even if I was to gain all the three worlds, this wouldn't overcome my lamentation and my grief. Arjuna is so overcome with lamentation and despondency. He can't see any way out of his situation. So then text 9, there's a transition from Arjuna speaking to Kṛṣṇa, and now Sañjaya speaks again. Sañjaya hasn't spoken since early on in chapter 1. So, Sañjaya uvacha eva muktva Hrishikesham Gurukesha parantapaha na yotsa iti govindam uktva tushnam babuvaha. Sañjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Kṛṣṇa, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. So finally, Arjuna's just been like, he's been like, whoa, he's just like putting it all out there, all these different thoughts and feelings, and hasn't been able to stop since, he requests Kṛṣṇa to take him out in between the two armies, and then Kṛṣṇa parks the chariot in the middle, in the Majje in the middle, and in front of Dronacharya and Bhishma Deva. So these are the two people that Arjuna has they're respectable elders. So Arjuna has the most concern or fear about engaging in warfare with them and actually, attempting to kill them. So it's like once he's there in between the armies looking at Bhishma and Drona, he becomes overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed. So there's a bit of quietness while Arjuna is looking around and observing the different personalities and soldiers on the opposing side. And then he begins to his mind begins reeling, his skin becomes burning, his mouth dries up, his hair stands on end, and so on. And then he just begins blurting out all this stuff to Kṛṣṇa, all the reasons why he doesn't want to fight. So then Kṛṣṇa is actually at this point is only then spoken twice so far, where when he took Arjuna into the middle of the battlefield, knowing that what was going to happen, he says, see Arjuna, see all the Kurus assembled here, wishing to fight, and that sort of sets Arjuna off on his despondency and lamentation and his stream of everything he's had to say. And then just at the beginning of chapter 2, Kṛṣṇa kind of blasts Arjuna and says, how has this weakness come upon you? You're not acting the way that an Aryan acts, or someone who knows the scriptures. You're not acting like that. So he kind of how has this weakness overcome you? You know, so this was very like, whoa, sort of wakes Arjuna up, like, whoa. You know, Arjuna then sort of reacts a bit more and, you know, kind of says to Kṛṣṇa, how can you make me fight Bhishma and Drona? You know, they're worthy of my worship. Why would you make me do this? You don't. Kṛṣṇa, you slay demons, you slay bad people, and you wouldn't fight Sandapani Muni, your teacher, or Ugrasena, your grandfather. Yet, here, you are wanting me to fight my grandfather and my military teacher. How is this? So then Arjuna comes to this point of accepting Kṛṣṇa as his spiritual master. And then as the Bhagavad Gita begins to transition to Kṛṣṇa giving his teachings, then Sañjaya speaks again. So in this verse, so Sañjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Kṛṣṇa, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. It's a bit like, finally, Arjuna is silent now, you know. So, so in this particular verse, there are 4 names used. 2 names for Arjuna and 2 names for Kṛṣṇa. So the names of Kṛṣṇa used are Hrishikesha. So Sañjaya says, Eva Mukta Hrishikesham. So, thus speaking, Hrishikesh said. So Hrishikesh speaks. So Hrishikesha is the master of the senses, the supreme guide, the Paramatma. So Sañjaya is speaking to Dhritarashtra. So at this stage, you know, Dhritarashtra is going to be going like, oh, awesome, Arjuna is not going to fight. You know, this is like I kind of, perhaps I get a bit repetitive, probably a bit more than perhaps, but I've mentioned a few times how critical Arjuna is in this fight. Right? He's like just this most awesome warrior, able to shoot both-handed, Savyasashin, you know, which is a wonderful asset for an archer. He's got wonderful leadership qualities, steady in battle. In other words, he doesn't like get all emotional and hot-headed. Like of the Pandavas, Bhima is the hothead. You know, throughout the sometimes you know, sometimes devotees like to talk about themselves as being kshatriyas or having kshatriya mood, and they kind of take it in a particular way. But actually, if we study in the Mahabharata the different mentalities and personalities of the Pandavas, we can see that there's a variety of feelings and personalities amongst kshatriyas. So Maharaj Yudhisthira is kshatriya. He's like very much the teacher of Dharma. Dharma is the most important thing. He's so concerned about doing the right thing, always acting in accord with Dharma, or righteousness, right action. Bhima is like this passionate hothead. There's kind of like no other way to describe him, really. You know, he throughout the Mahabharata, he's the one that Draupadi could always inspire to take action to defend her honor or to protect the Pandavas or and her, and to kill someone if it was necessary to kill them. Bhima would get hot-headed and go and do it, you know. Whereas Arjuna is like the very calm is perhaps not quite the right word, but sort of very reasoned and calm and always looking to Maharaj Yudhisthira to direct him. What should he do? He's always wanting to please him, and he's also very concerned about Dharma and doing the right thing. And then Nakula and Sahadev, the twins, the twin sons of Madri, they don't actually, their personalities are not drawn out so much in the Mahabharata as their younger brothers, but they're very respectful towards Maharaj Yudhisthira. So anyway, so there's these different personalities amongst the Kshatriyas and amongst the Pandavas. So anyway, so Dhritarashtra, he's hearing the description of what's happening on the battlefield from Sañjaya, and we're hearing about how Arjuna is not going to want to fight, and of course this would like tip the balance. It's like actually in the armies, and I've mentioned this before, there's only 7 Akshauhini divisions on the side of the Pandavas, and there is 11 on the side of the Dhritarashtras, or the Kurus, headed by Duryodhana. So that numerically, Duryodhana's side is stronger, 11-7, which is a significant advantage. And on the side of Maharaj Yudhisthira's side, where there's only the 7 Akshauhini divisions, it's really his brothers, and in particular Arjuna, and to a lesser extent Bhima, who are balancing it out, right? You've got 11 versus 7, and it's Arjuna who's like the balancing thing, balancing weight, counterweight, that makes it so it's okay that they're outnumbered. So if Arjuna decides not to fight and actually leaves the battlefield, well then the 11 against 7, it's kind of like it's all over. And it would be all over. Duryodhana and his brothers would inevitably win. So this was for Maharaj Dhritarashtra listening to Sañjaya explain what's happened on the battlefield. Then it's like, oh, this is very encouraging for him. So, but then in this verse, the names of Kṛṣṇa used and the names of Arjuna used kind of pop Dhritarashtra's bubble, or Dhritarashtra's excitement about what is potentially happening here. So Kṛṣṇa is Hrishikesha. He's the master of the senses, the supreme guide, the Paramatma. So this is what Sañjaya says Hrishikesh speaks. So Hrishikesh is master of the senses. This has an indication that he will direct Arjuna. He will direct Arjuna to use his senses in the way that Kṛṣṇa, Hrishikesha, the master of the senses, wants him to act. So the second name, and actually this name, Govinda, this is used by Arjuna. So the final things that Arjuna finally says is, Govinda, I shall not fight. So it's, I shall not fight, and I'm ready to listen to what you have to say. At this point, I'm not going to fight for all the reasons I've said, but I'm accepting you as my spiritual teacher. Please instruct me. So Govinda, I shall not fight. So Govinda means he who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. And also Govinda refers to Kṛṣṇa as the giver of the Vedas. And so, this indicates again that Arjuna is going to follow the conclusions of Scripture and please Govinda, the giver of the Vedas, and also please Govinda's senses. Right? So, and Arjuna, the names used for Arjuna are Gurukesha, and this means the Lord or conqueror of sleep or ignorance, and indicates, he has control over his senses. So even though right now Arjuna seems to have lost control, right? He's lost control of himself. His mind is reeling. His thoughts are just spinning all over the place. His mind is depressed. He's despondent. He's grieving for what's going to come. So he has temporarily lost mental control, but Sañjaya, referring to Arjuna as Guru Kesha, means that he will get a grip, so to speak. He's the conqueror of sleep and the conqueror of ignorance. And so Arjuna will come through this crisis that he's going through. So this is like a subtle hint to Maharaj Dhritarashtra. Don't get too excited. So, and then the next name used for Arjuna is even more so, Parantapa. So, enemy scorcher, he who defeats the enemy. So with this name being used, it's being pointed out to Dhritarashtra that Arjuna, will fight, and he will slay the enemy. So in his purport to this verse, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami makes some nice points. He says Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. So Bhaktivedanta Swami was oftentimes quite humorous in his purports. So you can see here, Dhritarashtra is like glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was going to leave for the begging profession. But Sañjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies. So this is Parantapa. Although Arjuna was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, so false grief, in other words, misplaced grief, he has no reason to grieve. As Bhishma and Drona, they are not their bodies. When they die, when their body dies, they don't die. This point is in text 11, is the first point that Kṛṣṇa makes to Arjuna. That Arjuna, while you're speaking like a wise man, in other words, Arjuna's been spouting, referring to scriptures and to cyclic succession, coming up with all these reasons why he shouldn't fight, and they're very, quite good reasons from a moral point of view. Then Kṛṣṇa says to him, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. The wise man doesn't lament for the living or the dead. So it's a bit like earlier on in this chapter, Kṛṣṇa kind of, gave Arjuna a bit of a blow to the side of the head, and like, hey, wake up! How is this? I forget the word that Kṛṣṇa used, but how has this weakness overcome you? What's going on here? So again, in Kṛṣṇa's first verse, and when he speaks, once Arjuna has accepted him as the spiritual teacher, his spiritual master, he again chastises him. While you're speaking learned words, but actually what you're saying doesn't make sense. Right? The wise man doesn't lament. So this is the point Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami is making. Although Arjuna was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Kṛṣṇa, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection, and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization, or Kṛṣṇa consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated, since Arjuna would be enlightened by Kṛṣṇa and would fight to the end. And indeed, this is what happened. Dhritarashtra's joy was frustrated. Arjuna became enlightened by Kṛṣṇa, and through Arjuna's being enlightened, we also can become enlightened through hearing this wonderful transcendental conversation or samvada between Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna. We can deeply consider this conversation, and through studying it and using our intelligence to try and understand it, then actually, as Kṛṣṇa says in chapter 18, text 70, this is, he who does this worships me by his intelligence. So we are worshipping Kṛṣṇa by our intelligence as we study Bhagavad Gita. So I was thinking about this verse this morning, the chapter 18, text 70, and just thinking how, what a wonderful opportunity it is to actually study Bhagavad Gita in this way, and to appreciate how studying it is actually worshipping Kṛṣṇa by the use of our intelligence. And so in this conversation, there are so many different meanings to it, and we can see these through the different commentaries of the different Vaishnava acharyas. And in my classes, we will often cover different things said by the different commentators on Bhagavad Gita, to see how there can be different perspectives on and meanings to what Kṛṣṇa is saying, which sort of then allows us to again use our intelligence and spend more time actually focusing on verses and understanding all the different meanings and perspectives and what's going on, and how the different Vaishnava acharyas and commentators have commented on it. So in one sense here, Arjuna says, I'm not going to fight. Kṛṣṇa, I will not fight. And so actually, Arjuna is actually speaking the truth, in the sense that once we come to the point of surrender, and prior to the point of surrender, we're always acting on our own behalf. What's best for me? We're always thinking about what's in it for me. If somebody asks us to do something, we're always like, well, what's in it for me? What will I get out of it? Right? Oftentimes I always remember Vajrayaj Dasi made a point to me once, people will call up and you basically say, you can basically say, well, what do you want? What do you want from me? Right? So it's almost like this very sort of transactional nature of our dealings in this world. It's like if somebody's talking to you, it's always like, well, what do they want? You're actually, Prabhupada's given quite a humorous lecture on this, one of his video lectures. It's kind of like, it's always like, well, what do you want from me? What is it that you're seeking? Like someone comes up and they start making nice to you. It's kind of like, wonder what he wants. So this is kind of the nature of relationships in this world, in the material world. And so we're always acting for ourselves. What's in my interest? What's in my self-interest? In other words, false ego, ahankara, thinking that I am this body and the world, I'm the center, the world exists for my enjoyment. That person over there, how can they serve me? What can I get from them? Right? Like businessmen are kind of terrible. They're always looking at people as consumers. Even that's the word that economists use. Economists and government, they're always talking about consumers. So they just essentially see people as, people who consume stuff, right? And it's like the whole big worry with this COVID-19 is like, oh, there's changes happening and people are going to change the way they consume and they're going to consume less and that's going to be bad for the economy type thing. So it's kind of like, Everyone's, we're just seen as like consumers of resources. And business people are always wanting us to consume more of their stuff. And so when Arjuna is saying, I will not fight, it's like, well, it's a change in his consciousness. He won't fight. He's not going to fight out of self-interest, out of what's in it for him. He will ultimately fight for Krishna's pleasure. So Krishna's final instruction in Bhagavad Gita 1866 is, Sarvadhaman parityaja, abandon, completely abandon all varieties of dharma or religion, religious instruction. Mamekam sharanam braja, and just surrender unto me, one-pointedly, eka. Just surrender unto me in a one-pointed way, and just do what I want you to do. This is Krishna's final instruction. Just serve me, love me, and serve me. So when a person comes to that consciousness, as Bhaktivedanta Swami liked to call it, Krishna consciousness, then we're no longer self-interested. So we're not acting for ourselves. We're acting as Sañjaya here is calling Krishna Hrishikesha, the master of the senses. Then we're acting for the pleasure of the master of the senses, of Hrishikesh. So in chapter 11, I think it's text 33, Krishna tells, so after Krishna has been showing Arjuna his Virata Rupa, his universal form, Arjuna is completely overcome. And so Krishna says in text 33, chapter 11, therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasashi, can be but an instrument in the fight. So here, this Savyasashi, this is Arjuna, the two-handed warrior, right, who can, shoot arrows with either hand. And Krishna tells him, you can be but an instrument in the fight, which is nimitta matram. So this is the reality. This is how a devotee should be. We should understand Krishna's in control. And I can be, and my spiritual master, as Krishna's representative, is in control. And I should just be an instrument in their hands, fulfilling their will. What do you want me to do? I'll do that. Right? So we should be just thinking how to please our spiritual master. So we should find out, what is it that my spiritual master wants me to do? And I should do that. I should do that out of love, and there'll be a sense of duty initially, or perhaps obligation. But as we become purified, then we act out of love. Love for our spiritual master, love for Kṛṣṇa. And we just want to be their instrument to help them in their mission. And so this, Arjuna is saying, I shall not fight, is actually an indication of the transformation of consciousness he's going to go through from it, the whole chapter 1 and chapter 2 up to this point is Arjuna talking about what he wants to do. Oh, I don't want to fight. I don't think it's good. So Arjuna is just talking about what's in his best interests. And in fact, he's even forgotten about his brothers. He's forgotten about Maharaj Yudhisthira. He's forgotten about Bhima. He's forgotten about Draupadi. He's only thinking about himself. And so, by the end of Bhagavad Gita, he's come to the point of seeing himself as just being an instrument for Kṛṣṇa. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, he says that his Nashto Maha Smriti Labdha, he's recovered his memory, his his illusion is now scattered. So now he's ready to fight. But he's seeing himself as he's fighting because Kṛṣṇa wants him to fight, not because Kṛṣṇa has convinced Arjuna that, well, Arjuna, there's actually lots of good reasons why you should fight. These guys are bad, Maharaj Yudhisthira should be the king, and so on and so forth. Kṛṣṇa doesn't convince Arjuna on the basis of political arguments. No, he convinces Arjuna, and Arjuna exercises his free will to love Kṛṣṇa and to accept Kṛṣṇa's will as what is best for him. So Arjuna accepts Kṛṣṇa's instruction that just surrender unto me, abandon all varieties of religion. And so this is where we need to come to in our own lives. In our own lives, we're so worried about ourselves. We're like the center of our little universe. We're so concerned for our own well-being and what it is that we want to do. And so we should learn from this example of Arjuna of how we need to actually transform our consciousness and become basically just uninterested in ourselves. In other words, we're always thinking we're all so important. What do I look like today? And what am I going to do today? And what am I having for breakfast? And what am I having for lunch? And what am I going to do tonight? And where am I going to go tomorrow? It's all about me, and mine, my stuff, my family, my friends, my job, my car, my stuff, right? This is what we're always thinking about. So we need to go through a transformation in consciousness, just as Arjuna goes through, from Arjuna being absorbed in him, in his own thoughts and feelings and what he thinks is best and right and good, and coming to the conclusion of just doing what Kṛṣṇa wants me to do. Kṛṣṇa just wants me to love him. Man manabhava mad bhakto, just absorb your mind in me, become my lover, offer your homage unto me, worship me, pay your obeisances to me, and then surely you will come to me. I promise you this. So we need to come to that point. So now Arjuna is essentially foretelling this. He's unknowingly saying the truth. I shall not fight. That's right. Arjuna shall not fight for himself. He'll just become an instrument in the hands of Hrishikesha, the controller of the senses. So he puts himself into the hands of Govinda, the source of the Vedas, and who's capable of awakening all souls. So others were all wandering around, as Lord Chaitanya said to Srila Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. The Jiva is just wandering throughout the Brahmandas, or the universe. We just wander around, going up, going down, until finally we come into connection with the spiritual master and Kṛṣṇa, and their instructions, Krishna's instructions in the Vedic literatures, the scriptures, that can wake us up. It's like we're sleeping souls. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote very nice songs, like referring to the soul as like the sleeping soul. And we can become woken up as we hear transcendental knowledge. As we read Bhagavad Gita, it can like wake us up, like, whoa, I've been asleep for so long, I've been covered by the darkness of ignorance, and now I'm being woken up by the Vedic literatures, by the Vedas and by the spiritual master. So Oma Gina Timarandasya Gina Gina Shalakaya. So my spiritual master opens my darkened eyes with the torch of transcendental knowledge. So Arjuna is putting himself into the hands of Kṛṣṇa, who will wake him up. So these verses are like, as I mentioned at the start, are basically Arjuna, basically saying he's not going to fight. It's like, but he's in a mood of expressing his final feelings. As it stands now, he's not going to fight, but he has accepted Kṛṣṇa as his spiritual master, and he's now waiting to hear what is Kṛṣṇa going to say. And at this point, Arjuna's finally stopped talking, and he's now ready to hear rather than speak. So, and the next verse, text 10, and I think, seeing as it's 8:44, I'll probably leave it here and save this verse for next week. There's not a lot to speak about on this next verse, but this is the transition verse where Sañjaya is still speaking, and he says, "O descendant of Bharata, at that time Kṛṣṇa, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna." So next week there's we can discuss some different points about this verse, which shouldn't take that long, although maybe it'll take up a whole nother class. I'm not sure, we'll see. I've got a couple of pages of points here about it. But we're about to embark upon, so after all this time, we've been giving these classes on Bhagavad Gita for quite a while now, maybe 8 months. But we're now actually about to move into the actual teachings of Kṛṣṇa. So everything I've been speaking about up to this point is like just pre-Bhagavad Gita. We're just talking about the situation and talking a bit about the history and some of the stories out of the Mahabharata and who all the different personalities are on the battlefield, how Arjuna has become despondent and overwhelmed, and then finally he's accepted Kṛṣṇa as his teacher, spiritual master, and now Kṛṣṇa is about to speak. So we should be anticipating every word that Kṛṣṇa is going to say, and worship Kṛṣṇa by our intelligence as we try to understand and ponder upon and explore the different meanings of what Kṛṣṇa says to Arjuna. And we can always appreciate that Kṛṣṇa said this in the middle of the battlefield, and everyone could hear. So Bhagavad Gita is for everyone. It's not just for Arjuna. It is for us and for all people for all time. So tomorrow night we're having a program on Yoga Kirtan, Facebook Live at Yoga Kirtan Hawaii at 7 p.m. Hawaii time. If you'd like to come to that, watch that, you're welcome to. I'll be speaking on giving like this. Obviously, Yoga Kirtan Hawaii is for the public, so I'm going to be giving a brief overview of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya's life, and then speak a bit on his first verse of the Shikshtaka prayers about the glories of the holy name. And then on Friday nights at 7:30, giving Bhagavad Gita classes in Healing Chart 108 on Facebook, and we're speaking or studying texts 1863 to 1866, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. So like the opposite end of where we are right now, we're about to start on what Krishna's teachings are, and those classes we're speaking about the conclusion, the very essence of Bhagavad Gita. So thank you very much. Really appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to speak on Bhagavad Gita, and I hope that you find Bhagavad Gita, I'm hoping that you are becoming enthused to study Bhagavad Gita. and actually all of the works of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, and so on. Anyway, thank you very much. Haribol, we'll chant now for another 10 minutes or so. So I'll just get Radhi Shyam to come out.
Jai Lord Nrsimhadev.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Kṛṣṇa.
Jai
Namaste,
Lord
everyone.
Nrsimhadev.
Hari Bol.
Stay.